Well, first of all, Eric, how are you, and how are the rest of the Testament camp? Of course, you heard about Chuck and Steve being knocked around by the coronavirus. Is everybody fighting fit again?
Yeah, it looks like everybody's, right around the corner from being on the mend or on the mend. I know Chuck's been doing interviews, and he said he's been up and about, going to the store, and a couple of our techs caught it, and one of them's camping right now, so they seem to be all good.
That's great news. That's great news, man.
Some got hit harder than others, so it all depends on the person, I guess. Yeah, I don't know if I caught it or, I had like a little cough when I got home, but more of like the same kind of cough I get like when I'm on tour for 5 weeks, smelling the smoke from the stage and just being on the bus for that long. I don't know. You can't get tested, so I would like to find out if I had it, or if, maybe my body built in immunity to it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't think I caught it, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I did remember them saying when it first hit Italy that the problem that they had in Italy identifying who had it was that a third of the people that get it don't show any symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. Cause we were all together, and the same thing with Exodus and Death Angel. The drummer, Will, got it real bad and was in ICU and couldn't breathe, and a couple of other guys just got like a cold. Some people didn't get nothing, so, Alex, myself, and Gene just came home like all's well. And I'm curious to see later, once it calms down, to get a test to see what's going on.
Yeah, indeed, man. Well, glad to hear that everybody's bounced back and stuff. Now, I guess in a way, if you're looking for silver linings here, you're going to get two bites with the release of this album, because you get this release that kind of feels very quiet because you can't tour it, and then once all this is done, you get to go out and hit the road and do a second release for it.
That's another way of looking at it, because people's attention span is so, especially the younger people, it's like you can keep them occupied for a little bit. It's funny because I notice people at the movies, like younger people, they'll be watching the movie, and then like a half hour later you look over, they're on their phones. I'm like, oh my God, and these are my kids, so I'm like, hey, you wanted to go see this movie.
Watch the freaking movie.
Yeah, exactly. No, so what I meant by that was the record's going to come out. It seems to be doing really well. Everybody loves it, and that's awesome. Then we would tour right behind it, and then it would be done. So what you said is, maybe that's a good thing. Because right when they start going, yeah, okay, now what's next? Oh, now they're coming on tour. Cool.
Yeah, you can hit them again.
So we'll hit them again.
Yeah. It feels like this album, you probably had more time to write and pre-produce and get ready to go in the studio and do this album than you have ever before. How was the process with Titans for you?
Just kind of like how you had mentioned, it was done the same way as Brotherhood of the Snake, but more involvement with the rest of the band. And what I mean by that is the other guys, Alex and Steve and Gene, who are usually doing other things, like Steve and Gene were doing Death. I think after we got off tour, those guys went directly on tour, and they were doing Death. And then right when they got home from tour, Gene flew in to do the tracks, and he was just, kind of beat up mentally. It wasn't the funnest recording, it was just kind of crazy. But on this one, we just, we had time off, and, Gene would fly up for the week and put them up in a nice, AR&B or whatever they're called. I always say things wrong, album lyrics and that stuff, so don't mind me. Anyway, so yeah, he'd come up and, we'd go into my little lair, and at night we would jam. We would set up, and we have everything MIDI so we can just jam, with headphones and record into, what do I use? I use Tune Tracks for the drums. Then I have my Kemper, and then onto Logic. So, it's almost like it sounds professional. It's, when we play back, it's like, wow, real drums, real guitar. It's not like, in a jam room with a boombox. So, and then of course you can edit the drums since it's all MIDI, and I can add harmonies and whatnot. And before you know it, a couple of days, you've got a song that sounds like a real song. And so we did this pretty much on every song. So by the time we got into the studio, we had another 18 days at the studio that we recorded to, just to go over everything and just get comfortable where we're at in our environment. Yeah, it was just like, like you said, we just were a lot more prepared, I think. And then it also gave, since we were more prepared when I did my stuff, I started thinking of other little things to do, over, usually I'm just like rushing to get all the stuff, and Alex comes in and does his leads, and I'm thinking, God, I want to do a solo here, but it takes me longer because I'm more methodical about it. I won't, you can't just go press play and then I shred something out. I have to sit there at home and kind of map something out because I like to have it to be more of a storyboard kind of a solo thing. So I was able to do that. And with that, there's, it's almost me and Alex are like doing half on the leads. And it's just another little element, I think, on the new record. And, bringing the bass up, getting some better bass tones. Steve's like way more out there.
Yeah.
The drums, like I said, Gene having a lot more time to really tune in his bit and kick ass, and Chuck, having more time with the topics and getting the lyrics right, and maybe even pitching up his vocals a little bit more of a wicked upper range than a death growl. Me singing a little bit on it. All these little things, they just add up to another, like what people are like, well, what'd you do on this one? Why is this one's a little bit better? All those little things just helped, I think.
Yeah. I was going to say, with Gene's drumming, it's interesting that you talked about, how he came in on Brotherhood a bit broken from the road, because it almost felt a bit more like Thrash by Numbers, that album, than this one. It feels like he's doing some different things and thinking outside the box rather than just doing what he feels needs to be done.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool, man. And Ishtar's Gate, you mentioned Steve's bass too. It really stands out there. There's quite a few songs on this album that are departures for you guys in a way. There's that, and there's the City of Angels, of course, as well. There's, slower, chuggy stuff. In terms of the writing for this album, what was for you? What were maybe some of the influences you had when it came to putting this album together?
Well, mix-wise, another thing too, Andy is a big part of this too, because he hasn't mixed a record for a couple of years. He's been doing, the last record he mixed was the Judas Priest record. And he, I think on this one, he came home and was just off for a while, had no, really no work going on. Just like, I'm not mixing for a while. Because when I asked him, he was just like, yeah, well, send me what you got. Let me hear what you're doing. And I sent him a couple songs, and he was like, wow, it's killer. However he said it, whatever his word was, maybe he did say killer, I don't know, but he was like this, he really liked it. So he was kind of excited and, was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do this. When's the record going to be done? When can I do it? It was like perfect timing. He had like 3 months off. So with that being said, that was another element, I think, that, made it sound a lot better. And just, talking about records that are modern and just, aren't too pinpointed, like, well, this is kind of popular right now, like more reverb on the snare or doing this or that. We just kind of went, let's try to be able to hear everything.
Cool.
Let's not go, hey, let's make the vocals real loud like Ozzy's mixes, or or some records where the leads were lower than the rhythm, or the leads are way louder than the rhythm. They can't even hear the rhythm. We're like, we want to be able to hear everything, including the bass. The bass is always, always finds its spot to make. If you mute a lot of records, it's going to sound weird because the bass isn't there. But if you unmute it, you hear it, but it's not like individually heard. It's more filling some gaps. And on this one, we were thinking more like, like Hemispheres by Rush or something. Just the bass is like, you can still hear the guitars, but you can also hear the bass too. You don't have to sometimes you have to kind of look at the speaker and go, wait, where's the guitar? Because I think at one point Andy went a little crazy like that, because I was like, I know it's there, but I have to put my ear like a dog to the side and go, oh, okay, there's the guitar. But I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
I want to be able to just go, fuck, there's the bass, there's the guitar, there's all the little splishy, splashy cymbals that Gene's doing, and and when the vocals come in, I don't want it like he's screaming at me, God damn it, Eric. No, you want it to where it comes in and it just feels killer, like kind of like, I don't know, the way Bruce Dickinson's mixes are, it's like not super loud, but it's enough to where it's killer. And I just think all of it, all those, descriptions of telling Andy about the mix and totally agreed. And, I think we kind of got a really good mix out of this one.
Yeah. Well, what about as producers? I mean, you and Chuck produced the last album and produced this album. Andy obviously produced Dark Roots. What have you learned as producers from the last album to this album, do you think?
Well, there's different roles that we play. So I'm more there for the whole lot, overseeing the recording done. And I guess more of quality control, just, making sure, somebody's got to do it. The engineer, producer, co-producer, Juan, is the knob turner and is the professional engineer, but he doesn't know everything. He doesn't know all the songs and what they do and blah, 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 blah. So that's more where I come in. And Chuck's more of the business guy. Chuck handles all the business for Testament. He's just the brains of that end of it. So I guess when we say producer, Chuck and I produce, kind of make everything happen.
Right, I'm with you now.
And it works out.
Yeah.
It works out as a good team, for what we each do.
Now, we talked you mentioned vocals. You're doing some vocals on Night of the Witch, which sounds fucking killer too, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, how much, when you're doing vocals on a track like that, how much input then do you have in the lyrical theme of that? I mean, did you co-write the lyrics on that one as well?
That bit, yeah. Well, what happened was, so on Night of the Witch was more of a flute because there's that, the riffs going on, and then there's that do. And I remember just, when Chuck was singing the song, I was just like, fuck, this is so heavy, and I love all that wickedness, it sounds wicked the way you're singing it. And that part came in, and he always wouldn't sing, and I thought maybe he's saving that part for later, because I'm looking at the lyric sheet, and I'm like, well, what goes there? And he goes, I don't hear anything there. I don't really like that part. And I'm like, what? And then, so the next day went by. I was like, okay, sometimes he'll say that, and the next day he'll do it. And so the same thing came up, and I'm like, I hear all kinds of things. And, he's like, well, show me. So he came in the control room. I went out there, and, I didn't have the lyrics, but I had a pattern in my head. That's how we usually do it, Chuck, too. It's all about a vibe and a pattern. And we usually find patterns, and, we'll say, that's cool, but maybe you should try it like this, like that, whatever. I went out there and just did one pattern, and I remember they were both, talking in the booth, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, Chuck's all, you're just going to do this part, something like that. So, I'm like, cool. So, wrote it out, and it fit really good, and I was glad to do it. It's like, cool, I got a little part on there. It's cool.
Yeah.
And it fits. It fits. I'm not trying to throw my Dragon Lord black metal vibe into the band, but it just happened to work for that song. I thought it was going to be a deep cut. It was going to be one of those songs that we don't play live because it's killer. I mean, we got a lot of killer songs we don't play live. I always scratch my head like, why aren't we playing this song? But sometimes they just don't work live. And so when the label heard it, they were like, oh, this is the first single, and I'm like thinking to myself, oh crap, that means I got to sing it live, because it's not a riff that I would write in Dragon Lord. I wouldn't write a riff like that and sing over it.
Yeah, right. In terms of that, in terms of your writing, I mean, do you ever come up with a riff that you're like, shit, is this a Testament riff or is this a Dragon Lord riff? I mean, how do you tell the difference?
A lot of stuff that I write with Dragon Lord, I'll work on with my keyboard player, and there's a lot of orchestration ideas going on first that I'll explain to him, or he'll be playing something and I'll play over it. Like he'll be in his room going, do 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 do, and I'll go. So it's kind of stuff like that, or I'll have a riff, but it's a certain kind of chording. It's more of a minor kind of configuration where it's just got that sound. I want to say black metal sound, but Alex Lifeson did it a lot. It's just ringing out the bar chord, and it's just got that extra, twang at the end that just gives, I don't know how to explain the sound, but maybe we can call Alex up and I can go, hey, when you go,
what's that called?
Yeah, that's yeah, he's good. Yeah, of course. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's mostly that, and there's a lot more 32 BPM picking, kind of, that blast beat picking, I guess.
Blast beats on the guitar, or you can never have enough blast beats.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In terms of something then like City of Angels, it's getting a bit of press because of the Richard Ramirez thing. I noticed there was an LAPD nod in there as well. I wondered if that was a bit of a nod to the Golden State Killer as well. I was just thinking about that. I don't know if you got any take on this, but why does California have so many famous serial killers? Because I was thinking then about the Zodiac and stuff as well. And is that something that's kind of been a bit of a fixation for you guys?
So in the 3D box set, there's a book, and not only does it have the lyrical content, but it's also got each song is broken down on what the song's about. And the girl who did it, she went really in depth. I mean, there were some songs I'm like, oh, I didn't even know it was about that. Okay, so there are many theories as to why the United States saw such drastic increase in its population of serial killers in the 1970s and 80s. Initially, right-knit neighborhoods and disbanding people moving around more frequently and became less and less familiar with each other, automatically putting themselves at high risk of being attacked. Many speculate that the end of the Second World War and the war in Vietnam caused men to return to the United States homeless, drifters, because of the popularity of hitchhiking on developing highway systems. A growing population of deviant minds now had direct access to helpless and ignorant flock of prey. In the beginning of the summer of 1985 and into the following years, the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, struck pure fear into the residents of the city of Los Angeles, California. He committed burglaries, brutal mutilations, and savage rapes, and resulted in the loss of at least 14 lives and tortured of many more. He stabbed, maiming, and decapitated, sodomized, strangled, gouged eyes, shot his victims in joyous outbursts that he claimed were brought about by his pact with Satan. City of Angels is a creepy kid, and she talks about the song. And it's all factual stuff. It's not like, yeah, that guy was crazy, And
well, he was that, man. He was that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of great topics on the on the album Titans of Creation. I've been listening to it for probably about a week now. It's really strong. It stands up there with your best stuff. But where does it rate for you in terms of the Testament album top 10?
Well, I mean, that's only the first two records were really, really strong. I mean, Practice the Souls, all those were strong too. We were leaning more towards, after playing around the world, we kind of knew what was working, and we were being influenced by record companies, and you have to get stuff on the radio and MTV, and we started mutating our stuff a little bit to appeal more to the masses, even though, I don't think we strayed too far to it. Went, oh my God, you guys totally changed. We didn't really change, it just sounded like we matured. But now that everything's said and done, between Legacy, The Order, The Gathering, and this one, The Gathering theme's just punishing and just relentless. I would compare it more to The Gathering out of everything.
Good stuff, Eric. Hey, listen, thanks for having a chat to us, man. It's good to talk, and listen, I hope we get through this COVID thing. We can see you guys down here real soon, and I look forward to hearing some of that Titans of Creation live.
All right, we'll see you.